Well, hi,
Thank you
nice to
for
see you again, Melissa. It's nice to talk to both of you. I appreciate it. I enjoyed the first four episodes they sent. So to start, why don't you guys just talk about sort of what was it about the project that attracted you? We'll just go Melissa, then Patrick.
I love criminal profiling. I think it's such a fun idea. Obviously, I don't do it in real life, so it's a fun idea to kind of step into a role like that where you're psychoanalyzing the worst people in the world, and the way that their brain works is so different from an average Joe. And so I think that diving into a character who does that for a living was super exciting.
What about you, Patrick?
Um, I love this world. I think the world of law enforcement and government spooks and the potential for danger and violence and justice is always an intriguing world. And then when you add the dimension that my character is somebody who's got four kids and who's, a family guy and also assembling a brand new operation that operates outside established norms was just such an exciting prospect and such a broad landscape. It was, yeah, very interesting.
That's fair. What did you guys do in regards to research? Because you've both played detectives before, but I know this, like you said, is something different. So what I guess was the prep like for this for both of you?
Hmm.
I mean, uh, I don't think that prep in terms of going into like how a profiler would profile necessarily helps. I think that she is a human in this really crazy situation. I naturally am very nosy, and so that was my prep, I think. But as far as like the gun stuff, the shows that I had been on in the past had a lot of training for that, and then we had a phenomenal tech advisor come in, or a couple different ones actually come in and help us with that side of it. But yeah, I mean, it's situation by situation, and thankfully the writers got to do the research part. They did the hard part of that, and so we got to just watch as like a story each episode.
You kind of feel the same. You were already, maybe not the nosy part, but the already
I
prepared.
mean, she's nosy. She wants to know. Dex wants to know everything. She's trying to figure it out.
Yeah. What about you, Patrick?
I mean, I tried to look into how interdepartmental task forces work within the government, but they're really good at covering up secrets that are supposed to remain secret.
Weird.
That's true.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I was like, how do secret task forces work?
Yeah. You should just
Nothing.
tell you.
Uh, but a lot of fiction has been written about it, and a lot of ex-military, ex-CIA operatives have published memoirs and books and stuff. And so I tried to get into the mindset of somebody who operates within, outside the boundaries of like traditional law, and how does that overlap with um, uh, operating on American soil? Because I think a lot of um, counterterrorism and uh, special operations happen overseas, but when it happens on American soil, you're bound and restricted by a lot more laws. And so I tried to really look into fiction and nonfiction about what is the kind of person that um, can operate within those restrictions. And I tried to look into how do you balance that with a civilian life.
Mhm.
Uh, but there's, yeah, not much, material
Yeah,
out there.
that makes sense. That makes sense. So talk about sort of the tentative partnership you guys form. And you have two Shane. I mean, it's sort of like all three of you, really, at least for the first four anyway.
Hmm.
No, it's for all 10. We're a trio, one
Yeah,
not one without the other.
yeah.
I think that yeah, I mean it's people from all different walks of life and different departments. We've got a CIA agent, we've got a military op, we've got a criminal profiler who's been working at a casino. And so everyone's kind of lending their own expertise, but no one really knows who's in charge, no one knows who to trust. But as any group of misfits coming together would do, they lean on each other and they start to trust each other because they don't know who else to trust.
Fair. Do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, I love discovering that, and it's something we would actually talk about as we were shooting. Oh, wait, is that more of like of a Beck's discovery, or is that something Shane would call to attention, or oh, I think Hassani is kind of more has this perspective on it, and so should that be a moment? And so it was fun within the cast, and collaborating with the writers and the producers about um, really trying to remain distinct in what team members' purview was what.
This is obviously mostly procedural, but it's also got sort of that mystery element with the prison and what happened and all that. Talk about that because that surprised me, and I think people would be interested in that part of it as well. So sort of tease a bit about that without spoiling it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you're drawn initially because you love a good serial killer story, you're gonna be extra excited because the pit for me is almost more exciting in some ways because by the time you get to that last episode, you realize that the good guys might not be so good, or the bad guys might not be so bad, and who's on what side of the line, and we quickly realize that the inmates are, they're there for a reason, and there are some things happening at the pit that aren't so great. Hence why some of them became worse on the other side. And so the revelation of who created the pit, and I don't even think we get the full answer by the end of the season, but we get more into it, and it's just a very, very interesting concept.
Cool. Yeah, I want to know that, so I'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I want to know how it
Me
goes.
too, man. I love it. I love getting the next script and having a mystery for myself to figure out. I love a procedural. I love catching the bad guy every week, but something that keeps me engaged is like, what am I involved in? Who even am I? Like, who do I actually work for? It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of, remember Alias? I think that was one of the things that like I was like, what is going to happen next season? Who's in charge of who and who's working for who? And so I love having that element of the broader container being a huge question mark.
Fair. And Melissa, I'm trying to think of a way to ask this that's not going to spoil it, but obviously you talk about guns and everything else, but is it hard doing something where you're restrained? That to me would be really claustrophobic, having things happen.
It is hard, and I don't think it's spoiling anything by saying, um, I think it's a good tease. Bex gets herself in some hot water, and because of that, she does get bound. And the hardest part for me was the duct tape on the mouth because I didn't realize that it's really hard to breathe if you're like that for a while. And so there was definitely a couple takes where I had a little panic moment because I couldn't breathe, but I'm supposed to be kind of passed out, and I can't move, but I also couldn't breathe. And so I'm trying to figure out, do I ruin the take and yell? Well, I can't yell for help, mumble for help. Or do I stay like this and potentially pass out? So there was definitely a little bit of a scary moment, but thankfully we have a great crew, and they took care of me.
Well, I like though too that she can take care of herself, which is always good.
Not in that case, she couldn't,
Well,
but
no, not exactly, but yeah. All right. Well, thank you both of you. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it and finding out what happens.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Great talking to
Have
you.
a good day. Bye bye.